Grounded 2 has just been released, and honestly there are several things that I wish I knew before I started playing. So I'm going to share them with you and make sure that you don't make the same mistakes I did. So my first tip seems like a really simple one, but that is to collect as many resources as you possibly can as soon as you can. The more resources you gather, the more you can analyze using the resource analyzer, and the more crafting recipes you'll then have available to you sooner in the game. This is essentially helpful as well. Once you spawn, you'll then run out of the starting area and you'll find a whole bunch of mushrooms. This is going to be great for starting off with a good supply of food so you don't actually start to go hungry. So just make sure you're picking up those mushrooms at the start. My next tip also seems like an obvious one, which is to make a shelter and set your respawn point. While seemingly obvious, this will give you a reliable and hopefully safe spot to come back from the dead. It also gives you a place to sleep the night away to avoid the ungodly horrors that come with roaming around at night, especially those evil spiders. Something that had me stuck for a little while was the dry grass chunks. So in case you're a dummy like me, dry grass chunks come from the paler blades of grass that you can cut down with an axe. These are the long blades of grass, but instead of being green, they're slightly brownish, and you'll just chop those down to then get the dry grass chunks. Then make sure to keep your eyes peeled for the loot buried in the ground that can hold important resources for progressing in the game. With Grounded 2, you have a shovel obviously, you can then start to dig up some loot that is half buried in the ground. This is a great way to find really good resources, so make sure you keep an eye out as you adventure through the map. Then you're going to want to put clover leaves in the resource analyzer as soon as possible, so you can then unlock the storage options. Using this will then let you create a little storage basket, and it's going to be the very first thing you use for storage. Gathering so many resources, you can run out of space very quickly, so having a place to store your items and extra gear is going to be fantastic from the start of the game. It's then time to go grub hunting. Grub parts are used largely in armor parts, which if you need to go against anything tougher, you're definitely going to need. You can find grubs around the base of trees usually, which is a relatively safe place to go hunting for them unless you see a lot of spider webs, and obviously that area is not safe. But you usually find like these bubbling ground things in the floor, like something's tunneling around in the ground. You can dig those up, you just have to be careful because sometimes they are actually lava that will fight you, and sometimes it is a grub. Usually you get about 2 of the pieces of gear you need for the grubs from killing 1, which is fantastic. If you have friends, grab at least 1 of them and use them as a sacrifice for the anthill. There are lots of scary soldier ants in there that team up with the worker ants to kill you, and that will block your exit as you try to leave with the ant eggs during a certain mission near the start of the game. Now this is extremely tough because the ants really do hate you, and there's multiple entrances in this anthill, so it's very easy to get lost. So going in as a team is especially important when you're doing the first few missions of the game. As a good scout would always say, go prepared. At the beginning of the game can be super tough, while you are still setting up and don't have the stronger weapons and armor. So take time to cook some food and get healing resources before taking on the harder battles. Even during story quests, these can be very tough and there's still a lot of bugs that will fight you. So make sure you have a great supply of healing items in your inventory. Talking of being prepared, keep your eyes peeled for trinkets. These are special items that can change your character build and give special effects based on which one you find. Take this one for example, which you can find near the start of the game. This will give you more damage to ants, but you have less damage resistance. This particular one will come in handy when you go and search for your first ant egg during the very early missions of the story, but may not be very helpful if you're going against some spiders, which just means you're taking more damage but not dealing more damage to the spiders specifically. Now make sure you pay attention to the upgrades available for your Omni tools as well, as it requires specific bug parts. And you wouldn't really want to use these up in other builds. When using them to get better Omni tools will then allow you to get better resources, which will help you unlock different tiers of items and crafting. As you progress through the start of the game, you'll also come across tougher bugs that you will struggle to deal with. So don't be afraid to just run away. Make sure you always know where your base is so you can get back to safety. Sometimes you will run out of stamina when you're running away, but you do have usually a bit of time to quickly build your stamina back up and then get to safety. Then lastly, Grounded is designed to be very hard when you first start your adventure, so don't worry if you need to lower the difficulty, especially if you are playing solo. Playing on your own on the lowest difficulty is nothing to be ashamed of. If you're playing with friends though, you're going to have a better time just because you can deal more damage and also pick each other up. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys find some of these tips really helpful for when you start in Grounded 2. I know if I knew any of these tips beforehand, I would just have gone in with a better experience at the start of the game. So if you did like this video, make sure you're clicking the like button and also subscribing to get more of these Grounded 2 videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you again in the future.